I have a story to tell you today. Today, my story is a pretty serious story. I have this really very special vase, and I came home one day from work and I found this wonderfully special vase of mine that has sentimentality that goes back. This is like an heirloom vase of mine, and it means a lot to my heart. And I came home one day from work and I found my vase, and it was shattered, just shattered. I did the best I could to fix it. This is my vase, and I found all the pieces and did the best we could at hot gluing it together. But as you can see, it's pretty broken up now. And I tried to figure out what happened. I searched for evidence. What happened? How could this have happened? How could this have happened? I asked people what had happened, and they told me stories, and nobody seemed to really give me something that I could really hang my hat on to what really happened. So then I started to look for other evidence. Was there anything around the area that could show what had occurred? Was there any fingerprints? Could I figure out who did it from the fingerprints on the pieces? Eventually, I figured out that it was my daughter, that she had broke it, and then she had dropped it, and that after she had dropped it, it had shattered, and she was afraid, so she had hid the parts, and she made up a story. And I figured this all out, and so I had to punish my daughter for lying to me and all of that, because she broke my vase, and this is a very special piece. Now, what I just told you is a story. I made it all up. It's not true. My daughter did not break this vase. In fact, do you know who broke this beautiful vase? I did. I took it outside and I dropped it intentionally to break it. And then we put it together with hot glue on purpose. That's the truth. The story I told you before, that was just made up. Okay? Now, if we had gone to court, if I had kept that secret, and we'd gone to court, then I would present my case against my daughter, which is a lie. And then they would have to figure out what the truth is, what really happened. And so they would get evidence together and they would try to show that my daughter was innocent. In the meantime, hopefully the truth would come out, that I really was there and I was the one that broke the vase. What does this have to do with our study of microbiology? And what does it have to do with this week's study of microbiology? Well, this week you guys are going to be going in as though you worked in a lab. Through your evidence search, you're going to try to figure out who possibly was the person who could have committed the crime. All right? And you're going to find evidence to point towards someone being the criminal. But as we get done with this, we were not there. And all we can do is look at the evidence and look at the testimonies of those people who did claim to be there or claim to not be there in the case of our mystery. This actually does have to do with microbiology in many ways. Not only are we going to be using microbiology in the lab, but it also helps us to realize that as we study microbiology, we are looking at evidence of how life began. Where did life come from? That's the question so many people ask. And the answer to that question really matters. It matters where life came from. Because if life is an accident, then all I am is an accident. And if I'm an accident, then what does it matter if I'm here or not? And if the end of life is the end of life and that's it, then what are we even here for? But on the other hand, if I was created intentionally and on purpose by a creative God who loves me dearly and desires to know me and be in relationship with me for all of eternity, then my life matters. And figuring out whether or not life came from our God who created us or just happened to pop into existence by chance, that question will be what helps drive your life from the moment you make the decision of what you believe based upon the evidences that you're presented with. It's going to set the pattern for your life forever. So what are the evidences? Like this, I made a really crazy story that was extremely believable. My daughter did it, I found evidence that she might have tried to hide it. I found some, I could give you all sorts of different things that I believe point towards her guilt. And those evidences could be very good evidences that would point towards her doing it, but it wouldn't make it true just because the evidences are there. What I need is a testimony of somebody who really was there. And since I was the one that was there, when I do come clean and tell what really occurred, you are now hearing from the testimony of an eyewitness account and from the actual person who dropped the vase intentionally and broke it. Now you can believe that person because that's the person who did it. And all the testimony I give incriminates me. I was the one that broke the vase, and I can show that proof, and I can be the eyewitness. You see, if there's a God and he says, guys, I created life, let me tell you how I did it. He is not only the eyewitness, but he is the person who did it. He is the creator. So can I believe him when he tells me how he did it? Yes, I can, if he truly is God. So this devotional I've entitled Evidence That Demands a Verdict. And what I want you to do in this class this year is I want you to search out through all the things that we do in class and ask yourself, is this evidence that there is a creative God that was behind this process? Think of the cell membrane. You guys studied so much about the cell membrane, how things can come in and go out, little doors basically that open up specifically to let certain things in, leave certain things out. You learned about the endoplasmic reticulum and the cytoplasm. You learned about the nucleus, all these organelles inside of the cell that all have a job to do. It's like a factory. It's like the best factory you've ever seen, and it works so fast and so well. It works better than any factory man has made. And yet you're told by evolutionists that it just popped into existence without a creative mind behind it. Is that what we see when we look at the evidence? We can search for evidence that helps us figure out what happened in the past. And our study of microbiology can help us find evidence that God really did create in the beginning of time. Many people try to say evolution brought about all the life we see by chance, that there was no creative brain behind it. But God told us in his word that he created it all by speaking it into existence. And God said, let there be, and there was. And God said, let there be, and there was. It was by God speaking it into existence that everything came into existence. So when we ask the question, where did life come from? God answers, oh, let me tell you, I spoke it into existence. That's where life came from. As we see all the detail in his creation of a cell, we can know that this could not have happened by chance. And that's just looking at a cell. Now, as we continue through microbiology, you're going to be looking at even more cells. You're going to be looking at little animals that are single-celled organisms. And you're going to see them living in an environment. You're going to see them being able to survive in that environment. And you're going to be going, there is just no way. There's just no way that this could have just popped into existence without a creative mind behind it. And then as we get in deeper, we're going to be looking at genetics, and we're going to be looking at the instructions that are in every single one of your cells that your body uses to build you, to make you who you are. Every cell of your body screams out who you are. It has all the directions of how to make you you. If you commit a crime, we can use that DNA fingerprint, is what it's called, that instruction inside of your cell, in the nucleus of your cell, to know for beyond a shadow of a doubt you're the one who committed the crime. Did you know that when we look at all of creation, from the microscopic to the macroscopic, which means from things that you look into a microscope to see, or even smaller, to the things that you have to look into a telescope to see, that are way out there in the galaxy, and even beyond what our telescopes can see, when you look at all of that, you see the fingerprint of God. You see that he created this, and you can tell that there is a God by the evidence of what he created. John 1:3 says, God created everything through him, Jesus, and nothing was created except through him. That's in John chapter 1, verse 3. So you can see right there, God created through Jesus, and nothing was created except through Jesus. And he is very specific. He has told us how he did it. He has told us who was there, that it was him. Jesus is God, and he created all that we see. And he then pursued and purchased back those who had fallen into sin. That's how much he loves his creation. So let's go on in our microbiology unit and find all the evidence of an amazing creator. Don't believe the lies the world shoots at you about how it happened. It can look really realistic. I mean, I can put together that story about how my daughter broke this vase, and it can sound right, but it doesn't make it right. And that's what's important to know about evolution. Evolution is going to look right. It's going to sound believable, but it's still a made-up story. Our God told us how he did it. He was there. And he said, when I created, I said, let there be. And there was. We'll see you next time.